Well, she is known as a multi-award-winning actress, a goddess, in my book, the lady. Her work and her life is beyond reproach in my book. And I am so honored that she asked me to interview her here tonight. And before we go any further, and before I bring out, what's her name? Oh, yeah. Before she comes out, let's take a short look at some of her amazing, amazing work on film.
You'll make a good first impression. I love you, Elliot. Now, Shoo.
What are you doing then? I mean, you just kicked me out, didn't you? What am I supposed to do now? Just get on a plane, just go back?
No, you don't have to go back. I understand. Your life is here.
No, it's not. I don't have a life here. I came here to be with you so that you could have a life here. I had everything in Berlin. I had a great career.
Graham.
Yes, John, go.
I see it. I see it.
What happened?
Shh, you be still now. You be so quiet, so still.
Did something happen between you and Frank?
What do you mean?
Kathy, I'm your best friend.
Nothing happened. Nothing at all.
Oh, Kathy.
Honor.
Kathy, I'm your dearest and closest friend in the world. You call me day or night. You hear?
That's Sam, huh?
He fell off the monkey bars. I turned my head for a second.
Looks like a happy kid.
He was. Well, good night. I killed my best friend.
Honey, you didn't kill her.
Of course you didn't. You always tell me everything happens for a reason.
No, fuck off. Fuck that one to the ground. Everything happens for a reason. What a crock. You say there's a reason Grandma lost her legs, and there's a reason there's a war and tsunamis, and there's a reason George fucking Bush got reelected. Shit goes wrong because there's evil in the world, like me. I'm evil.
Sarah, no.
Let her go. It was my idea to go get her, to go on the walk. She didn't want to. I dragged her. She turned me down twice. I begged her.
Twice?
Am I the Antichrist? Someone should lock me up and keep me in a cage. Someone should dig a hole and throw me in and not let me out. Well, her blood pressure's low.
Is that serious?
Could be. We'll have to wait and see.
It's fine.
want you to bring her in every week for special treatment.
Yeah. Are you sure that that's necessary?
Yes. And since I know you're not fond of writing back.
I'm terrible at writing letters and emails and texts. But in your case, I may make them.
And I'm bad with phones. I hate talking on the phone.
So I suppose we are destined to never see each other again.
Yeah. I guess so. Well then, I will miss you. He seems like a nice kid. He seemed a little incredibly gay.
A dyed-in-the-wool homosexual, that boy is.
I just want you to know your father and I are totally supportive. We love you no matter what the sexual orientation of your opposite sex partner.
We're not dating, Mom.
And don't worry about not making us grandparents. Although we were kind of hoping you'd get knocked up so we'd have a second shot at raising kids. Really do it right this time.
Bye now.
You know, I dated a homosexual once. For a long time, actually. A long time.
Dear God, dear Lord, tell me you did not marry and have children with him.
No. No. Your father is as straight as they come. A little too straight, if you know what I mean, girlfriend.
I don't. Can you shut the door, please?
The brain controls pain. The brain controls fear, empathy, sleep, hunger, anger, everything. What if you could control it?
The brain?
Recreate a man so he doesn't feel pain or love or sympathy. A man who can't be interrogated because he has no memories to confess. They're creating ghosts to go out in the world and do things sane men never would.
To have that kind of ability, that kind of knowledge, that would take years.
Years of research, hundreds of patients to experiment on. 50 years from now, people will look back and say, here, this place is where it all began. The Nazis used the Jews, Soviets used prisoners in their own gulags, and we tested patients on Shutter Island.
Seatbelt first. First position turns on the electrical system, second position. Next you have 3 mirrors, rear view, left and right.
I really don't need to learn this. My husband drives, so.
I never learned to cook because I thought my mother would always be there to cook for me. Then there was half a world between us. And so I make my own food.
Your point?
No point. Turn your head so you can see the blind spot. And the left shoulder, turn your head, left shoulder, so you can see the blind spot. Now put on your left signal. Other side of the wheel. Put on your left signal. Now turn your wheel all the way to the left. Put on the brake. Now you are in drive. Now the gas pedal. What happened?
You're moving.
That's good.
I think I don't like this.
Well, you have to go forward now because I haven't taught you how to back up.
I appreciate you not telling the detective about me.
But, darling, he'll find out, won't he? I mean, not to be blunt, but when you get close.
I won't. Get close, I don't. I never get close.
But that's what I wanted to apologize for. You can't get close. That's your father. And it's why I think I never loved you. You were born to it. Colonel, I'm Detective Mike Houlihan.
See your daughter laid out like that. She was my whole life.
Jennifer, Jesus Christ.
I don't think Jesus had much to do with this, Dr. Strami. You're a person of interest.
Get me a lawyer.
Maybe you can help me figure out.
Get me a lawyer!
What do you know?
You know, you two aren't as different as you seem. You're both looking for clues.
Are you all right? Did you feel sick?
Tired?
Do you need some fresh air? Mom, you should probably get out of the car.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I keep waiting for a good time to tell you, but there's really no good time. I need everyone to listen. I don't know how to say this. We need to discuss how each of you... Oh, God.
It's okay, sweetie.
How each of you, in your own way, is going to handle discarding food without letting our hostess know.
Please. Joy, really. That's not very funny.
Here's what I suggest.
So I know that you're as grateful as I am for Patricia's wonderful work, both on the stage and on film, but my greatest joy is that I get to call her friend. So with no further ado, please welcome a beautiful little bottle of Tabasco sauce and a beautiful sterling silver holder, Miss Patricia Clarkson. All right.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming. It's been fun. Sorry.
It's been fabulous. Hello, hello. How are you?
So,
Hi.
Patricia.
Hello, Bryan.
We do this all the time. This is like being in your living room, isn't it? On 13th
yes,
Street?
with well over 200 people. Oh, my God, there's a lot of people here. I'm
Yes.
so glad I wore a dress and heels.
Yeah, me too.
I figure when people are paying, put on a dress.
I agree. You're a star. Look like one, right? Okay.
Woo.
So let's get started.
Oh, God.
How did you get started, Patricia Clarkson? I mean, did New Orleans play a big role in your becoming an actress? Who were your mentors? Where did you go to school? That whole.
Well, yes. I mean, I first of all got started because my mother and father had me. They got started.
Jackie and
quite
Buzz
young.
Clarkson in the second row right here. Yes.
But, you know, I'm an Algiers girl. I grew up in a beautiful family of 5 daughters. I'm the baby. My sisters are always like, why do you have to say you're the youngest? Why can't you just say you're one of 5 sisters? They say, because I'm the youngest. But I grew up in Algiers, and I went to Carr Junior High, go Cougars. And I was taking a speech class in 8th grade, and Mrs. Morrison, my 8th grade speech teacher, we had to give speeches every week. And believe it or not, I was very dramatic. And she said, "You're an actress, Patty." I said, "Really?" And no, I really was. I said, "Oh." And she said, "I think you should join the drama club." And I did, and Janet Shea,
The lovely Janet Shea, who is now
the great Janet Shea, was
in
there,
Baby Doll.
and it was, and so I started in the drama club. And you know, one of the first plays we did, one of the first plays I ever did, and I had one of the leads, was called Flipped. Feminist Liberation Idealist Party for Permanent Equality and Democracy. That was 1974, and I think we need a revival.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
So I did, I was in 8th grade, 9th grade at Carr, and then I went to O. Perry Walker, go Chargers, and I was a Chargerette, yes I was, and I had the great Miss Ethel East help me and take me under her wing and became my true, real, amazing mentor and guided me for 3 years, and I did remarkable plays there.
What was your favorite play in high school?
Well, I remember doing the Neil Simon the Star Spangled Girl, Mr. Cornell. I've tried to be neighborly, I've tried to be friendly, but I can do very well without you leaving little chocolate-covered Hershey bars in my mailbox. And I still remember that. But we did a range of things, and I remember even doing like Ionesco and in Algiers, okay? We did a scene
Absurdist theater.
at a statewide competition from the chairs, okay?
Really?
I think they still haven't figured it out. But Miss East was everything. She really guided us to do the apparent, and yet the avant-garde and the outlandish and the cool and unusual. And she really kind of formed me as an actress. And so then I wanted to go to LSU, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm not going to be an actress. I don't know what I was thinking, because I really can't do anything else. And so my mother and father can attest to that. And so I went to LSU, and I studied speech pathology, and I loved it. I was a Tri Delta, and it was yummy fun. But I really wanted to go to New York. And
Was there a moment that you just kind of went, click, this is what I want to, what it really solidified in your heart and soul?
Well, when I was at LSU, I said, wait, what am I doing? I really want to live in New York. It was that pull to New York. Mm-hmm. And it was important to me to I was the baby of 5 girls. I needed to get away. I thought I needed to kind of be outside of my home environment so I could really expand. And so I transferred. My great Aunt Becky was the Dean of Admissions of Loyola, and she helped me transfer to Fordham. Thank God I had good grades. And I transferred.
You hear that, Lusher students? Do you hear that? Keep your grades up.
Yes, and make good grades in case you want to go somewhere else. And then I transferred to Fordham, and it was remarkable, I got up there, and suddenly New York was where I was meant to be at the time. And I had my first really big mentor, a man named Joe Giuseppe at Fordham. And he was incredible.
Wasn't he one of the ones that pushed you to go to Yale, or really was influential about you going to Yale?
And everybody thought you had to know somebody to get into Yale. Everybody was like, oh, Patty, you have to, I'm a girl from Algiers, and you have to know somebody. You have to go join the neighborhood playhouse in New York. And Joe Giuseppe said, no. First of all, he let me do Hedda Gabler, my senior project. I was okay. 21 and playing Hedda Gabler. Yeah. I'm burning your hair. I'm burning your. But he said, you can do this. You can get into Yale. We're just going to work our butts off on your 2 auditions. I did a classical piece. I did Julia ripping up the letter of two gentlemen from Verona, and I did a piece from The Wool Gatherer. And I worked so hard on those 2 pieces, you cannot believe. And I got into Yale. And then Yale became this crazy ride. People think it's Yale.
Did you do like a play a week or something like that?
Well, you do everything, and you play everything. I played everything from an 8-year-old murderer to a 300-pound Cajun mama to the Bawd and Pericles to, La Ronde, to everything in Chekhov, Ibsen. You do to new plays. I met the great Richard Greenberg.
3 Days of Rain.
3 Days of Rain, who wrote 3 Days of Rain, Take Me Out. He's one of my dearest, oldest friends. And we were roommates at Yale. Jodie Foster lived above us. So it was this incredible place.
Now, am I right or wrong, but did you do Pacific Overtures while you were...
I did, and I sang, and no one's ever recovered from
that. Stephen Sondheim, if you're familiar with it, it's Stephen Sondheim's Asian. It's all an Asian cast.
I had to play the Madam and the French Admiral, and I can't tell you I was good at either. I had 2 shots. I was okay. But that's the thing, is Earl Gister said to me, Patty, you look this way, you have this voice, but you want to have the world in your hand. You want to be able to do any and everything. You can be the leading lady, the young ingenue, the leading lady one week. You can be the bawd the next. You can be the 8-year-old murderer this week, and you can be an 80-year-old woman next week. You can do anything you want to do. You need to take these 3 years here and learn who you really are, which is everything.
Wow. That's deep, in case you didn't notice.
So I owe a debt of gratitude to so many people at Yale. It was a remarkable school, and
what was your favorite piece there that you did, or the most difficult?
It was probably this crazy musical adaptation. We did it in the cabaret of Bad Seed, and I played the 8-year-old murderer.
I was wondering if it was a bad seed.
You gotta tap, tap, tap till she's body and dead. Tap, tap, tap till she's bloody. It was the craziest thing you've ever seen. Dick Beebe, God bless him. He's passed on now, but he was this brilliant, 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 brilliant man that I had the greatest good fortune to be in school with at Yale. He was a writer. I had Richard Greenberg, Dick Beebe, all these.
Wasn't Paul Rudnick with you there? Or
no,
a
Paul
couple years
Rudnick is a little older.
He's a little older, yes.
And so I had these, but it was just, I got to do this wild things that I never thought I could expand my body or my voice to accommodate. And that's what I learned, is that we have to be able to transform. We have to truly know ourselves first so we can let go of that and be comfortable being others.
True. So then you moved to New York right after that, right?
Well, no. Well, right.
Right after
I went
Yale.
to Fordham in New York. I went to Lincoln Center, lived at the YMCA.
The YMCA?
There were no dorms at Fordham at the time. I lived at the YMCA at 64th and Broadway.
I did a play
I
there.
showered with everybody.
That's a different movie,
Mom
Patty.
and
That's
Dad,
a completely different
I showered
film.
with everybody. I'm telling you now, right now, at the YMCA. It's why I said I have to get the heck out of here.
That could be the title of your memoir. I showered with everyone. I like that. I think that's a good one.
Everybody will be like, yeah, okay. But
It'll sell.
But so I was at Fordham, and then I went off to Yale, and then I came back in '85 to New York, and started working. Yes.
And I saw you in your first Broadway show. Tell the story about how that all happened with Mr. Jerry Zaks and
Oh my God.
Jerry.
I'd done like a few plays off Broadway, and I was auditioning. I was about 9 months out of Yale, and I was supporting myself somewhat, doing off-Broadway theater. I did the John Oliver play with Nancy Marchand, Francis Sternhagen, and Tim Daly. And
That's a pretty good start.
it was very nice.
Like a nice.
And then I auditioned for House of Blue Leaves. So I went in and I met Jerry Zaks, and I gave this audition. He said, I really like you. And I was like, oh, really? And I said, oh my God. He said, I want you
They
to...
stood up. I'm just
No.
letting you know.
No. So
Oh, they did?
well, that was not then.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So then he said,
I thought
come
you were being
back.
humble.
He said, come back, and I'm going to have you audition with John Guare, in the room. And the producers and everybody. I went and bought a new dress. I had no money. A little money, but I bought a new dress, whatever, dolled up, walked in. I was auditioning for the hearing impaired movie star, Karina, in House of Blue Leaves. And I did the audition, and everybody in the room stood up, applauded. I didn't get the part. But the value of a great audition. 9 months later, after they had just won the Tony, Julie Haggerty, who had gotten the part, was leaving. I had a message on my answering machine from Jerry Zaks. Patty, Jerry, we want you to come and do House of Blue Leaves. And he offered me the part, and I started my first Broadway show about 9 months out of Yale. So my mother, everybody came up to see it. And then that was, you know, so, and it was very exciting. And I had Swoosie Kurtz and Stockard Channing, John Mahoney, Ben Stiller. I mean, it was ridiculous, this incredible cast. And they were so yummy to me when I stepped in, because pretty much it was the original cast who was still there. And then Stockard Channing left, and Christine Baranski stepped in, who is just divine, and we're still friends to this day, and I adore her. She's a gorgeous, beautiful woman.
And then what was the? Well, then you did your first film, right? Is it right between, or did Eastern Standard come?
I was in the middle of doing. I was just on the tail end of House of Blue Leaves when I got a call to go audition for The Untouchables. And I went in and met the great Lynn Stallmaster, who was a great, great, great casting director in the 80s and 90s, well, 70s, 80s, 90s. Anyway, but I went in and met him, and he was like, he said, listen, I think Brian De Palma would like you. I said, okay. He said, but you don't look like this when you come in. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you know, this is like a corn-fed girl, like married to Elliot Ness. You're too glamorous. You don't wear any makeup. I was like, he said, go out and buy one of those, those umpire dresses, with like a bow in the back. I was
you and Laura Ashley do not go together.
Yeah. I love it. He said, don't do anything with your hair. Just let it be natural. No makeup. Just walk in and be, just as natural as you can be. And I did. And, but I had a sense of humor, and so did Brian. And there was a reader in the room, but Brian read with me. Brian De Palma read with me. And he did. That's what happened. He did. Lynn was right. And we just got on, and we laughed. And I said he said, well, I want you to go meet Kevin Costner. And I said, can I wear some makeup? And he said, yes. Oh my God, yes. So I flew to Chicago, met Kevin Costner, and then I did The Untouchables. My mother came to visit. Remember, Mom? You came to visit me in Chicago. You met Kevin. I know.
Forget the visit. You got to meet Kevin Costner.
It was so difficult, wasn't it? It was just tough to be around. Yeah. So I did that, and then
was it Eastern Standard next, or the one you filmed down here with John Goodman?
A movie with Burt Lancaster, and then I did.
Everybody's All American?
No, I did Everybody's All American here in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and then I did. What was it? I did, oh God, I've done too many movies. It was one of Burt Lancaster's last movies, and
Not Field of Dreams, was it?
No. Rocket Gibraltar, thank you. That's my sister, one of my sisters, Reddy. I'm not saying where she is in the lineup. Yes.
She would make a good agent. An agent.
A little bit older, yes. But I did a movie with Burt Lancaster, and he was beautiful. He was truly one of the most beautiful men I've ever met, and I was 28 at the time, and he was amazing. And then I did the Clint Eastwood, then I did the Dirty Harry movie, and some of my cool New York friends were like, and I was
the snobby, the below it 14th Street crowd, right?
Yeah.
The Village crowd were like, oh no, don't do that, Patty. Don't make any money, Patty.
Yeah, don't make any money. Yeah, don't make any money.
Stay poor and starve.
So, and then I don't know, then I did another Broadway show,
Eastern Standard, which you were brilliant in.
Richard Greenberg wrote a beautiful play. Beautiful.
Peter Frechette.
With Peter Frechette, who won a Tony.
Yeah.
And then, God, I did some more plays, and then what's good to know is, for all the actors here, I hit a bump in the road. I really did in my 30s. After Eastern Standard, in my early 30s, I found myself just, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job. And it was shocking because
you went
I had
right
had
up.
so many and had this life and had kind of a choice. And then suddenly I really, I was not doing well. I just couldn't, and with that, my confidence started to slip. I remember my father, Dad, you were extraordinary. You're gonna make me cry. My father was incredible to me in this time. And they were, my family, I was, and I had extraordinary friends, and I was dating a lovely man at the time, and he was very helpful. But at the end of the day, I had to figure out a way out of this. I had to rethink. I had to go back to knowing who I was so that I could play others, so that I could be. I had lost myself somewhere in all the journeys I had taken.
And what took you out? What helped you or brought you back?
I did a beautiful little independent, I did some cable films that we'll let go of. Oh, woo! No, not like porno.
No.
No.
Not like shower with everybody,
Oh, God. I mean, although, I was quite desperate on a couple of nights. I was, but I did, and then I did this beautiful little, then I got cast in this beautiful little independent film that nobody's ever seen, really, called Pharaoh's Army. And if you ever want to see it, I highly recommend it. It's really my first real independent film, and it's opposite Chris Cooper. Nobody knew. He is extraordinary. He is extraordinary, and it is a beautiful little film. Robbie Henson took the Civil War and reduced it to just one farm. A Southern woman on a farm, Yankee soldiers come in and take over that farm. It's exquisite. We shot it in Danville, Kentucky for $300,000. He and his father built my house, built everything. Just see it for Chris Cooper. I'm not kidding you.
And you.
And no, it's a beautiful film, and that started to lift me out, and then the big lift came from High Art.
High Art. I don't know if you've seen High Art, but
Yes.
I remember seeing that going, where is Patty? Where did she go? You're there. Was it your aunt? Didn't there a great story with?
Well, so I play a German lesbian heroin addict in this film. And, sadly, I'm not lesbian or German. Thank God I'm not a heroin addict. That's the one good thing. I've never done any drug in my life. I really haven't. All the students here, you see? You don't have to. Not that I haven't had a glass of wine or a bourbon occasionally, but I read this script with Lisa Cholodenko, the great Lisa Cholodenko, who's going on to make just beautiful things. And I saw this part of Greta, and I said, listen, I might not be all of these things, but I am this character. I know this woman. And I walked in. I thought they're going to see me as just some suburban lady, that I've all these suburban ladies. But I walked in, and I remember Richard Greenberg had a German agent that used to talk, Helen. Hello, Patty. And he would always, so I had her voice in my head, and I walked in, and I don't know, I researched a little about heroin addicts, and so I had the German accent, and playing lesbian, love is love. I knew I could do that, and
You didn't wear Birkenstocks, right?
No, I
Okay,
did
good.
not.
Cannot imagine you in
No,
Birkenstocks.
Greta would rather
no,
die
she's
than wear Birkenstocks.
lipstick all the way.
So, but it completely and utterly changed my career. It just took this one part, because again, it was the shift, the perception of Hollywood. I suddenly was taken out of a kind of certain lane they had put me in, which is what they like to do. And suddenly it had lifted me out of that. And suddenly people were like, oh my God, I thought you were German. I thought you were a heroin addict. I thought, And, I always joke with young students, I say, what is your advice? I say, play a German lesbian heroin addict. But I have to tell you, I've told this story many times, but I have to tell it. It's my favorite story of any of my family seeing one of my films. So my mother brought my great Aunt Patsy to see the film. In New Orleans, she saw it, my sis Kevin. So she went, she was like 80. So, and not that that's old, it's just, I'm playing a German lesbian heroin addict. And I said, so Aunt Patsy saw the film, and she called me the next day. And she said, Patty, if a director told me I had to play a German lesbian heroin addict, I would have told that director I can play one of the three.
One day, would you like to
trust me, there are many times lately, like I've thought to my director, I can play one of those.
Patsy sounds like a great character you might want to play one day.
Oh, my Aunt Patsy, we loved Aunt.
How
She's
great.
Fabulous, amazing woman. She's my
Great
great
Aunt
aunt. No, I
Patsy.
know, my great Aunt Patsy.
You
Yeah.
know, being from New Orleans, being from Algiers, growing up Southern, you seem to play a lot of Southern characters. Has that influenced you in any way, do you think, your New Orleans-ness influenced you in your career? I know we're going to get to right after this. I think it'd be a good time to bring on Miss Blanche Dubois, because this is the Tennessee Williams Literary Festival, and you were genius in that. But does New Orleans, in some way, play a part, do you think?
Well, yes, of course. I think as actors, we are sponges. I think who we are, how we are raised. I've often said I had the good fortune to have this remarkable childhood. I didn't grow up with money or affluence or any of that, but I had love. I had unconditional love. And with that, and a very strong family with that, it allowed me to go to very dark places because I always knew I was coming back to the light. And I'm fortunate in that way. And I know many of my fellow actors, some have had very difficult upbringings, but I think through them, their acting has brought them to the light. And whichever way we arrive is how we arrive. But I am New Orleans is in my blood, and I am a New Yorker girl now, but my heart beats to this.
You're a New York, New Orleans.
Yeah, I am bicoastal, but I do love, I think it has influenced, and I think it has aided the career I've had being a New Orleanian. Without a doubt, all the great mentors I've had, I think it, because I was nurtured when I was 13 years old and someone told me I was an actress, I was able to go forward with that dream.
And the openness, you kind of grew up with an openness here that is accepting and open and allowing us to.
Yes, I mean, people
soar.
were excited about me being an actress.
Yeah.
There wasn't a judgmental aspect of this, of growing up here. Yes, yeah.
So, here we go. The Kennedy Center, Blanche Dubois. You received rave reviews, but what was that like? Was it a tough discovery? What was your process? I mean, other, iconic actresses have played this role, and what was your take? What was your process in discovering her? That was the sideward glance.
No, I mean,
Oops.
it's very hard. I've said this before, but I mean it. I really feel that Tennessee wrote the part so that the actress playing it would somewhat have a nervous breakdown in the process of creating this character. And you never really quite, I don't think you ever recover from playing Blanche, and I know that sounds quite pretentious, but I do think you have to lose a part of yourself in order to play her. She demands everything. She demands every ounce of your life, your body, your soul, your innards. She is, it's an extraordinary character, one that I think is unmatched. And it is it is a journey that is worth every single cell in your body and everything that you give up in that time period, and even after. It just changed me. I call it my pre-Blanche days and my post-Blanche. I'm in my post-Blanche days. Well, and then I went and did Sharp Objects. But yeah, so, but Blanche aided me in that. And so but it was an extraordinary time, and Gary Hines, a great Irish director, Gary Hines, she's done a lot on Broadway, beautiful, stunning Irish plays on Broadway, and she directed this. She let it be raw and open, and she let us really explore, because it was called Tennessee Explored. It was, 3 of his plays, and I had the great Amy Ryan as Stella. Noah Emmerich from The Americans was Mitch. He was to die for. And Amy Ryan and I are very, very close off stage. And Adam Rothenberg, a young actor at the time in New York. We just had this incredible time, but all I could do all day when I was doing Blanche's, I would do the performance. I'd go out, I'd have like some bourbon and French fries, and then I go home. I go back to the water. I was staying at the Watergate. It was still a hotel. And I'd go get in my bed, and I would get up in the morning, walk my dog, and then I'd come back and get in bed till I had to go to the theater.
Wow.
That's all I did. That's all I did for all the performance. But speaking of my dog, I have to tell you, one night, I was about to do the big, horrible scene, the big scene in the show. And I brought my dog to the theater every night. And my dressing room, my dog Bo, would stay in the dressing room. And there were VOMs in the Kennedy Center. It's huge, the Kennedy Center room. And one night as I start the scene, Stanley starts to speak, and I go, oh, Stanley, and I hear, whoa. Whoa. And I'm like, and then Stanley says something, and then I say, oh, whoa. Whoa. So Adam looks at me, I look, and it's coming from underneath the stage. And I'm thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, okay. 1,000 things. I have this huge scene ahead of me. Adam is wide-eyed. And the weird thing is Gary Hines had peppered in through the production ambient sounds of New Orleans, a trumpet here, a car, a horn, a dog barking. So it just sounded everywhere. But there was silence when he would speak, and then the second I would start to speak, woo. And he had this deep bark, woo, woo. And so we got about halfway through the scene, it's gonna get bad, it's gonna get terrible in that scene, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, my dog's gonna come up through the floor of the thing. But thank God something happened through about 2/3 through the scene before it got really bad. It got silent, and then but Adam, I don't know how we managed to do the scene, and when I finished the scene in a million pieces, I ran off, my dresser was there, she grabbed me, she says, we have him.
Oh God. Who was the replacement of Stanley on Broadway? Who replaced Marlon Brando that did it with Uta Hagen? He was Zorba the Greek. Do I name one out of my...
Anthony
Anthony
Quinn?
Quinn. There's a story with him, you know, he was so into the scene and it's so physical, it's such a physical play. And she came off stage, she goes, "You're really hurting me in this scene, you've got to stop that." He goes, "But I feel it, I feel it." It kept on going and finally he does it again and she goes, "Ow!" And he goes, come off stage, she goes, "Why'd you do that?" She goes, "I felt it." Did you have, I mean, that's such a physical play. I mean, you know, the fight, the rape, you know, everything. Do you have any experience, any times where you're like, this is dangerous? Or have you ever felt, I'm just throwing out
In the
production, or in a film too, at a moment where you're like, this is getting dangerous?
I've had a few moments, of course, throughout my career of
or mishaps.
Fortunately, it's few and far between, and hopefully you always have that director that knows when to call it quits and when to really guide you and is really understanding of that. But yes, it sometimes gets too much. I've, you know, broken a finger, I've broken an ankle, I've taken some knocks, you know.
Now, without playing favorites, I mean, I don't want to give you Sophie's choice, but you know, directors, you know, they either can be worshipped and loved and so helpful, or they can make your skin crawl and you can just, we won't tell anybody. But just who is one of your favorites? I'm going positive, see?
No,
I've
worked with
the
just
best.
remarkable. I mean, I'm always thankful to Brian De Palma. He gave me my first job, but you know, I mean, I've had the good fortune to work with, you know, Tom McCarthy and Station Agent and his first movie, and Peter Hedges, his first movie. These great first-time directors but then I've also worked with Scorsese, and you know, I remember I got that call, you know, Patty, you know, my agent called and said, you know, Martin Scorsese has offered you a part in his movie. I said, "What?" And she said, you know, he said, "Oh, it's one scene." I was like, okay. And then he said, "But it's 8-page scene." I said, "Oh." And then he said, "And it's you and Leo in a cave." I said, "Me and Leo in a cave?" I said, "I better start working out." Little did I know I'd be the troll in the cave. But Marty, you know, when you work with people like that, you know, their lives are actors. They are actors, directors. They live for us, thank God. They are, you know, I've just worked with glorious, beautiful directors. You know, Todd Haynes, you know, they're beautiful, generous, and beautiful men and women. And I also want to say I've had the good fortune to work with a lot of female directors. I worked with 5 female directors, baby. You know,
I mean, great. Bring it on. There should be more.
And, you know, Lisa Cholodenko and Rubenada and Isabel Coixet, I've done 3 films with, a great Spanish director. Well, she's Catalan. She always corrects me. I'm Catalan. And, you know, and you know, Ruba and Sally Potter, I did The Party with, this wonderful film, this black and white film. And then just recently, Carol Morley. So I'm very proud.
And The Party, I don't know, she won a BIFA award, the British Film Institute award for that.
Yeah, the Brits, come on.
Yeah, the Brits like you too. Right now, Out of Blue is a huge, huge, huge hit.
In London.
In London.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So it's you know, I've had the great fortune to work with remarkable directors, men and women, and I don't know, you know, it would be hard to pick a favorite, you know.
Have you ever gotten to a point with working on a character where you just get stuck? You're like, wait a minute, I'm just not feeling this is not happening, what do I do? I remember Geraldine Page, I was audited her class, and in the class, I was like, I've got to be in this class. Geraldine Page, brilliant actress.
Oh, God.
You know, Sweet Bird of Youth, everything.
I worshipped.
She was amazing, and I was in line for her class. I was in the waiting list, and then she died. Yeah, I took it personally. But she said in this class, I can't remember the actress that she was talking to. The actress was doing Joan of Arc or Joan of Lorraine or something, and she was having trouble crying in this scene. And Geraldine actually said, Just start, fake it. It's called acting. Start it and it will come. If you are committed and if it's in your body, the truth will come. Just start the physical, go backwards, use it. But have you ever gotten to a point where you're like, this is just not happening, and what do you do to get through it?
I think it's why we have to do our homework as actors, because when we get in the middle of these really dark scenes, when we're in the middle of really tough stuff, nobody really can save you. You have to be, you have to have done the emotional investment and created the emotional life of that character. And the times I've been caught up short was when I didn't do my homework. And it's a problem because you disappoint everyone around you, your director. I mean, eventually you get to the scene, you get it, you know, by hook or by crook. It's a film, they can edit it, they can save it. But I think in the end, it's not about learning lines. It is, of course, you have to know your lines. But it is about the true emotional investment that you make when you're working on a play or a film or doing a TV series. You have to make the emotional investment because, you know, no one really can save you. And you have to really know what you have to want. You have to want to be in that person's skin. And if you're fighting it, you better realize why. What am I struggling with? Which is, I think at first with Sharp Objects, I was moving slowly into this woman. And I had to kind of let go and give over to just all of it. I took it day by day. I didn't overthink her. I realized if I thought too much outside of that character, I would start to judge her. And I think the worst thing we can ever do as actors is judge our characters, because that's for others, it's not for us. And you know, the character I played in Sharp Objects is questionable, is difficult, and traumatized and emotionally disturbed. But I'll tell you now, I still love her.
Yes.
And I always will. And you can think what you want about her. But I love her. I had to in order to play her. I don't love her deeds, her actions. I don't like her parenting. But I love her. And I think that's it's something that it took me a while to learn as an actress. And it's maybe one of the most important things that I've carried with me through the many journeys I've taken.
One of the questions I think we always get as actors, like, what do you like better, film or stage? I mean, it's one of those, like, it's like, you know, again, Sophie's Choice, apples and oranges. What I didn't realize before I started doing television film is the technical aspect of it. You know, you have all this wonderful rehearsal in theater, in discovery, and like you said, doing the homework, but getting on a set, it's so technical. Would you like to explain to them what it's not just, it doesn't just happen. Everything, you have to hit your marks.
Everything is marked. You know, everything has to be, you know, with theater, you're taking it in real time, and it's beautiful, and the process, you have a whole rehearsal process. But in film, as you know, you're showing up on the day, you've got to shoot a very big scene, or a very physical scene, or a scene with a lot of props, or you've got to walk upstairs in your long gown and cry at the top of the stairs, or,
and completely out of sequence. You don't get to have the emotional build-up to do that.
And you often sometimes shoot scenes out of sequence and moments out of sequence. So that's why you have to do your homework. You have to have charted your character. From where they are at the beginning of the film to where they are at the end. You better have it in you, on you. You better have it in you, not on you, because when you have it on you, you'll lose it. You got to have it in you. And it's better follow you wherever you go, and that's the sad thing is sometimes you're not the nicest person to be around while you're shooting a certain part. Well, that's too bad. That's our job.
You were lovely doing Adora. You were. When we went to the chateau and we had lunch.
Yes, when you were at the chateau.
But it was over the weekend.
But I was at the chateau, and when I was shooting Adora, I never left. I never went back home to New Orleans. I never stepped in my apartment as Adora. Never.
You left her in Los Angeles.
I left her in Los
That's where
Angeles.
she
I left all
belongs.
the nails. I left everything in Los Angeles. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, you know, one of my favorite nights with you, I'm just going to get personal here. It's not, we didn't take a shower, was...
We were at the Y.
We were at the Y.
That's right.
I did a show at the Y. Anyway, was we had drinks, as we do sometimes before going to opening nights on Broadway, and it was a night, you, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, and Tom and I, we all went to go see the opening of Evita, the revival of Evita. And you had just gotten a phone call, and you played it for us, and Tom and I literally melted. Would you just tell that little story about who was on that phone and what he asked you to do?
We were at, yes, opening night of Evita. And I got a call from Bradley Cooper about Elephant.
Oh my God! My martini went through the roof.
And, you know, I had met Bradley earlier at a year prior, like at a premiere. He had come up to me to tell me he was a fan, and he said to me, then he said, no, when I do the Elephant Man, I want you to play Mrs. Kendall. I said, oh, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah. I said, don't I have to be topless? I said, okay. I didn't think he couldn't possibly be serious. And then that was 9 months, maybe a year later or 9 months later, I got that call that, you know, we're going to do it at Williamstown. We did. Then we went to Broadway, and then we went to London. So, and that was
And a Tony
that was one of
nomination.
the highlights
Yes.
of my, that was an
Yes.
extraordinary.
Yes. You were exquisite. Thoroughly exquisite.
There was some beautiful, he's an exceptional man. He happens to be one of the great people ever put in Hollywood because he's a very good man. He's a good person. He's a true egalitarian. Every single person that was in that play, he took every single cast member to London. He did an unprecedented thing. You know, we have a lot of Brits who come here, but he took 13 American actors to the London stage, and he figured out how to do it. He used his charms, and we all went to London, so it was beautiful because we all got to go and do the production again in London at the gorgeous Haymarket. But doing that play with him, with Alessandro Nivola, brilliant actor, brilliant. Made me a better actor. You know, it made me a better actress. Doing that every night with him. Bradley demands everything of you, and he should, because he gives everything. And every
I'm not
single
touching
night,
that one. That's I can't, no.
you know, he shifts every night. Everything is slightly different, and it's very beautiful. You have to be on your toes. You have to be ready to go. You have to have done your homework, and you have to have done your homework that day. So when you walk out on stage, you're ready to go. And he knows when you're not, and he'll tell you.
Ooh.
But it was exhilarating, extraordinary, and one of the highlights of my life to do that.
This is a typical question. I'm going to the typical ones. Is there a specific role that you really haven't gotten to do, or that you'd like to reprise that you maybe did at Yale when you were not old enough to play then, but now you could?
Oh, the Baud and Pericles.
Yes. Well, the 8-year-old tap dancing murderess, you know, the bad seed.
I don't know that I really think about parts I want to do. I just know there's many more things I want to do. I'm 59, so I have a certain limit of what I can do. But there's also a world of parts waiting for me that I'm finally now old enough to play.
Listen, a producer asked for your number. They want you to do Lion in Winter. So
yes, which
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what. It might be a new play. It might be a new play that I do next. I have a feeling it might be a new play that I do next, off Broadway, and I might do off Broadway. I don't know. or I might just sit in my house. Well, sit in my apartment with my other dog. I now have a dog, I got a dog after Bo. Bo lived a long 17 years, and now I have Isadora Duncan. I swear to God.
You see this glorious, glamorous, beautiful, fantastic, intelligent, brilliant actress before you, but my favorite vision of you is walking Bo with one of your very expensive scarves because he couldn't really use his legs, and you going around the block, bringing him and taking him.
Yeah, he lost the use of his back leg, so the halter didn't really work on him, so I used my pashminas. So I would tie them around the back end of his, the back end of him, and I would hold him up, and it was taking a toll on my neck. It still is, but it was worth everything. It kept him alive another year, and that brings me the most beautiful thing happened to me in New York City pertaining to this. A young man, there's a gym right outside the window, my front door of my co-op, and one day I was walking out with Bo, and a very handsome young man with a duffel bag and sweats on. He had a big yellow Hallmark card, and he goes, "Oh my God." He said, "I was just about to slip this under the door for you." And he got very nervous, and I said, "Oh," he said, I've seen you walking your dog out. I've seen you carrying the back end of him many days as I work out on the treadmill. And I'm very moved that you're doing this. It's so beautiful." And I thought in my head, I said, I'll bet he's a young actor. He knows who I am. He's being very sweet. He's being very kind. He's like, he sees that Patricia Clarkson is here walking your dog, whatever. I thank him profusely. It's so Chekhovian, this story. He walks out my front door of my co-op. I turn the card over, the front of the card, the yellow envelope, and it says, "For the lady with the dog." He had no idea who I was. And he wrote the most beautiful letter to me. He had no idea who I was. For the lady with the dog. And I wrote that story for the Village, this Village book that they did. And it was beautiful. And I just had to tell it because it still makes me very happy.
I'm getting a little wrap up. There's so many great films that you saw clips of. One, I got to go to the premiere of that. Well, several I got to go to the premiere of, but one that I just love that I don't know if you've seen is Learning to Drive. Patty made that happen. I don't know if you know that. She found that short story.
8 years. Katha Pollitt, the gorgeous, amazing Katha Pollitt, that essay of hers, God, I love her so much. She's about this big. And 8 years it took us to make that film. I never gave up. Sir Ben, I still call him, everybody's like, "Patty, why do you call him Sir Ben?" I said, "Because he's a sir. And if I were a dame, I'd want to still have everybody be calling me Dame Patricia."
You are a dame in a way. That's what I love about you.
But I love Sir Ben waltzed in, helped us get the film made. He's exquisite in this film. Isabelle Coixet, the great director, directed it. It's a really lovely, beautiful adult film, and it's funny and yummy. And if you're looking for a film that's about really grown-up people,
that's
watch
what
it.
I loved about it.
Yes, it's a very grown-up film.
Yes.
And
now, if you had to pick, one of the last, just a few, if you had a Patty movie night. What would your top 5? You can have 6, whatever you want. It's your show. But what is?
I'd watch other people's films.
No, but if you were recommending, if someone said, what I've never seen your work, Patricia. What should I see?
Start with I don't know.
Cairo Time.
Well, I think Cairo Time. I'm thinking of the films that are my more underviewed films, like Cairo Time, which I think is a really beautiful film. All the Real Girls is this wonderful little film I did. I don't have a very big part in it, but it's a wonderful film. You know, I love the film with Ryan Gosling, but most people have seen that by now. I'm trying to think of Pharaoh's Army, The Station Agent, but I think most people have seen Station Agent and Pieces of April. But I'm thinking in later what are the films I've done now. But I you know, just scroll down. Or watch. I'm very proud of my work in House of Cards.
Yes.
You know, I really am very proud of that character, Jane. She's a heck of a character, and they rarely exist in film and in television. This is a woman not defined by a man, a woman, a child. She is the smartest person in the room. She has this crazy life. She's brilliant. She's cool. You don't know if she's going to kiss you or kill you. I loved playing Jane. So if you watch the last season of Netflix, I highly recommend that. So.
And finally, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh. You mean like tonight? It's been so nice seeing all of you. It's my last night here.
No, well, it's your career so far.
I'm going out on a high.
It's
Look,
so
the last
far.
time I was in town, I was in a big shoe leading a parade of 50, leading 1,000 women through the city.
Yes. I think that's a good one.
Talk about one of the highlights of my life. I had the greatest time. My face hurt at the end. I smiled so much. How do I want to be remembered? Oh, God, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Oh, just
should
that
have sent you this one, huh?
What?
I
Yeah, you should have asked me. I would have.
It just came to me.
I don't know. That I think. What?
You said yesterday, as a daughter, a friend, a sister, that those are the things.
Yeah, I think, you know, that I was a good child. I was a good daughter, maybe with a few.
Good dog owner?
Yeah, I was a good dog owner. I rescued dogs. I don't know. That I was a good friend, a good. I've had some extraordinary men in my life. I think I was a very good girlfriend.
Yes.
My father's here. We're not going into details.
So what's next? What can everyone look for you? What's coming out soon that we can see you in?
Oh God, I don't know. What have I got? I don't think I have anything. I think everything's out.
Is Out of Blue hit
Yes,
this?
Out of Blue is here, and it's on Netflix or Amazon. It's on there.
At the Britannia?
And it's a very unusual film. I'll tell you, you know, Carol is a very remarkable, unusual, brilliant woman, and she did not think of Martin Amis as a Bible. She really took the film very far from the book. But it has some great New Orleanian local actors in it. It has beautiful, beautiful actors in it.
And you made sure it was filmed here.
Oh,
Wasn't
I got it here.
It was supposed to be in Atlanta.
We were supposed to shoot it in Atlanta, and I went to shoot some of Sharp Objects in Atlanta, and the traffic and everything else was a nightmare, and I just said, mm-mm. I called Carol. I said, are you sitting down? I said, we're not shooting we're coming to New Orleans, and they had just reinstated the tax credits.
Yes.
The tax credits.
It's so important.
We need to rebuild Hollywood South, because I'm telling you right now, everybody would rather be in New Orleans. Atlanta's a beautiful city, but New Orleans is where people really want to be.
And locations. I mean, everywhere you look is a perfect location.
But it's also, when you're not shooting, look what's around you.
Yes.
And everybody, do you know so many people I know who have come to shoot in this great city, they fall in love with it, they get married here, or they end up buying a house.
Yeah.
Everybody ends up
It's
a
true.
New Orleanian, one way or the other.
Yes.
Bring Hollywood South back.
Yes.
That is essential.
Yes. So a few questions. If someone has something really good to say, not just I went to school with you, but you know.
If you went to school.
Yes.
So much. Thank you.
You mentioned Bradley Cooper saying something, noticing if you weren't prepared or whatever. So how would you prepare? I mean, after you'd done all the work and everything, but ongoing during the...
Well, I think, you know, when you're doing a play, when you're doing 8 shows a week, it's why I hold the highest regard and respect for theater actors. There's nothing harder in your whole life than 8 shows a week. I've seen this man. This man is extraordinary. And 8 shows a week, you know, but it requires, and not that I don't revere and worship film actors and TV actors, and I'm starstruck also. But I will tell you this, 8 shows a week, it is your life. You know, you get to the theater, you have to be in the right, you know, your homework has to live with you every day. You have to know where you're going to go, the emotional life that you've carried as Mrs. Kendall, which was quite dark. And every night I had to be, you know, that the famous scene of Mrs. Kendall. John Merrick has never seen a naked woman before, and I disrobe voluntarily for him. And every night.
House left. If you sat house left, you got a good shot.
I know. Tom Cruise told me I had good seats. But sorry, we digress.
It's also about maintaining the performance.
We digress. But I do. I mean, I can laugh about the nudity now, but you never get used to it, and it was good that I didn't, because every night it was such a naked, truly naked, raw moment every single night of my life, and it had to be that. So, and every night, you know, I knew that I had to find the connection with Bradley, with Alessandro. Every night I had to be present. And so I had to let everything in my life go for that moment. No matter what was happening in my life, it had to take a pause till I got through 90 minutes of this play. Okay.
I'll just talk about it.
Okay. Oh, so hold on. Yes.
Is this one up? Go ahead. Oh, sorry. So you've been in the film and television industry for a long time.
33 years, 34 years. Yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
But also in a time where there's been a lot of technological advancements as well, and I'm sure filming something like House of Cards that's for Netflix, which is not made for the big theater, versus those like blockbuster movies. I'm wondering like how it's been seeing the industry change, those differences, and just how does it affect the actor?
You know, my heart and soul really lies probably mainly with theater and with independent film. And the good thing is, I've done those blockbusters, I've done the Maze Runners, and and Netflix is a good thing because Netflix has money. So they will let you do a beautiful artistic film and pay you. Because so often we have to sacrifice, money in order, sacrifice for our art. And so.
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
Hi. I just wanted to say that your speech, your acceptance speech at the Golden Globes was so fabulous. It was one of the best ones I've ever heard. I cried. I literally cried.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to know what was going through your head leading up to that moment, when they were getting ready to announce and what was happening.
Well, I didn't look at the odds, or I knew I had a shot. I don't live in a vacuum. I knew I had a shot, but I was too superstitious. So anytime anyone said to me, "Oh, Patty, I think you're gonna," I'd make them turn around 3 times and spit. And I swear I did that with everybody. My neighbor's nephew was like, "Okay." He's like a tech guy, and he was like, "What am I doing?" I said, "You're turning around 3 times and spitting." 1, 2, 3, spit. So I was superstitious and hesitant to give over to it. But I thought of the funny thing to say about Jean-Marc. There was a private dinner for us that Tory Burch held for me and Amy, and Jean-Marc was there, and I thought about what am I going to say to him, because Jean-Marc is such a dichotomy. He really does. He's so demanding and so French and so brutal, and yet brilliant and extraordinary, and brings out everything that you want to be as an actor. He never rehearses really. He just says, "Oh, you come in," and you say, "Oh, okay, all right." You're going to sit down, and then you're going to have a sip, you're going to drink some water, and then, "Oh, you don't like the water." and then you go over and it's like you go over and then you go to kiss your daughter, and then you say, oh, I don't like her, and then you decide, I'm just gonna stand and look at myself in the window, and then maybe I'll sit down again, and then maybe I'll say something, and then maybe I'll get a drink, and then okay, let's shoot. That's how it is. My kind of director. So I'd be like, yeah, no, I hate you. And then I mean, it was the most incredible set. So I had to, but he really did demand every single thing of me, except sex.
Okay, here's the.
But I also wanted to make it short. I couldn't thank everybody because I wanted to get to my mom and my dad, and my sisters.
Yeah. Okay, we have the last question.
Hi, thank you for coming. I'm so excited right now. What are the acting techniques that you use? Do you use anything consciously now that really works for you? Do you tout anything specific?
I think for me, always it is. I mean, I had a lot of training, and so I think it's important to remember, acting at its very core is craft, and so I do think training is good, because what we're hoping through the craftsmanship is to lift it to art, the best we can be, and that the whole project becomes art. But it has to start but you have to start, I started with scene class and voice training and all of those things, and they made me a better actor. But in the end, I still now, on my own, I cannot tell you the emotion, getting to know, spending your own private, quiet time with that character, not with anybody else, and not about the lines. The lines will come. Acting is not about lines. It's about finding, that's my agent. That's my agent. He's like,
IKEA is my agent.
Anyway, it's just, you have to spend time, and you have to find the life that fuels that character.
Yes.
And you wanted to ask?
First of all, it's great to see you again.
It's nice.
As a female actress, can you share with us the changes that has been going on in the film industry?
So Margarita asked if the changes going on in the industry with females.
Yes, I'm happy to say things are shifting. And I think finally women, we have found, it's not the right thing to do, it's now what people want to do. It's cool, it's right, but it's cool, it's sexy, it's advantageous, we win awards, we make money.
It's what people want to see.
People want to see projects that are driven by women, starring women. We don't all have to play Wonder Woman. We can play flawed, fractured, traumatized characters. We can play. People want to, now a lot of producers have found it within them to make it a priority. And I can tell you that there is tremendous shifts in our industry, and it's better. It's way better.
Well, Patricia,
and I've waited 33 years, and honey, I can just sit back and say, okay.
Well, I know I join everyone here and the Tennessee Williams Literary Festival thanking you for being here and doing this. Miss Patricia Clarkson.